what makes a man weak? Oh, let's just say what makes an individual weak, in this life, I have three things, man, and I'm going to explain them so you can understand me today, the first thing I feel like that makes somebody weak, man, is not knowing how to tame your desire, because I'm not gonna lie to you, like, the weakest man is not the man that, whose body is not as strong as the other man around, or the other man, other places, whatever, it is, the man that can control, his desires, that's what makes a man weak at first, man. I have three things, and let me start with the desires first. The being unable to control your desire, that will that will mess you up bad in life, man. Because as a man you have to have principles, and actually I might just add a little fourth point to this, man. Like, maybe that's the principle too, that might be the fourth point, but it is included in the desire thing, in the first one, because when you a man and you don't have any principles, it doesn't matter what you've done in your past, man, because we all got past and we all not proud of our past sometimes, and but once you stand up and you say, I'm finna be a man, I'm finna literally, stand on my 10 toes and actually stand for what the fuck I believe in, and actually represent something in this life, then you have, what I call principles, and morals, and stuff like that, things that you won't do and things that you will do, And one thing you gotta understand about your desires is that will make you weak, man, is that let's say I just get on with it, let's talk about sex, like a lot of people say Mo 3 was killed because of him just trying to get laid up with a girl, and that girl, and they knew where he was laid up with, his enemies knew where he was laid up, and because they knew where he was laid up, they targeted him, and they followed him, and they ended up murking him on the highway, That's all because the man was strong in other areas, but he didn't really want to tame his desires and know which territories to be in and which territories not to be in, to be honest with you, Yeah, like, it doesn't matter if you have the most guns in this world. It doesn't matter if you have 100 men behind you. You can still get defeated in this life, if you don't play right, Yeah, because they've locked up like warlords before, in this life. They've locked up, they've killed Mobutu. Mobutu is, if y'all don't know Mobutu is one of the most powerful men that ever existed in the Congo, He was the president for 32 years, and that's because he held power onto by dictatorship and by force, killing anybody that would get in his way, and maintaining force like that. But he still got defeated, because force is not the only thing that you need for power. You also need to learn how to tame your desires, and the thing is, man, like, one of the life's desires, man, is like a lot of desires that we have in this life is money, drugs, sex, and alcohol, power, shit like that too, all that shit can be detrimental to us, because all that stuff with our ego desire that shit, like, a lot of time, man, we fall victim to them, as men, and sometimes as women too, for real, women have fallen victim to all these things, and that's because they haven't really learned how to control, and tame their own desire, because it's not strong to have control over 1,000 men if you don't have control over one man, which is yourself, It is not strong. You know, like, you are not strong if you have control over 1 million people in the crowd, but you don't have control over yourself, you know. And I'm sorry for repeating that, but like, I had to just emphasize that point, you know. But at the same time, you have to understand something, man. You know, the reason a lot of religions, you know, a lot of people who teach, they have to teach about learning how to tame your desires, it's not because they don't want you to have desires, you know. No, of course, people do want you to have desires. Desires are part of being human, you know. But learning how to tame them is a very important thing in this life, you know. And that's because if you don't learn how to tame your desires, then they will tame you, you know. Like, a lot of people lose their marriages over their desires, you know. A lot of people lose money over their desires, you know. A lot of people lose their life over their desires, you know. I've already given you some examples, you know. So so not just the example with the sex, man. Let's stay with the power, you know. A lot of African, you know, dictators, you know, ended up finally just getting killed by people because they couldn't tame their desire for power, you know. They wanted power so bad to a point where they was willing to be weak and risk their life just to get power, you know, just to appear that they are powerful, when we always know that the power lies within the people, you know. No one man is just super powerful, you know, unless the people are behind him, you know. To be honest with you, it's the people who really stick, you know, and who really are powerful, you know. And the same people can take you out, and the same people can put you in, you know. So a lot of African dictators, they stay in power way too long to ended up getting killed by their own citizens, by their own people who was once their followers, you know, and they ended up killing them. That's one way of like how you can be, you know, ruled by your lust for power, you know. You know, like that desire goes into like lust, you know, and nothing wrong with desire, but once it's become very lustful and it becomes very like demanding to you, then you are, you know, gonna lose, you know. So the second thing, man, is I feel like the second thing, you know, and let me just keep talking about this, man. You know, like you can watch part 2, part 3 of this video on my TikTok, you know. I'm gonna make part 2 and part 3, you know. And the second thing is making, you know, decisions, you know, it's like based on like those lustful things, you know, like, and not just power, but let's say drugs, man, you know, like drugs and alcohol, you know. How many people can fight, but once they drink alcohol, they can't fight as good, you know. How many people can, you know, do amazing things, but once they drunk, they can't do them as good, you know. Like, you know, there's only a few things that you can do when you're drunk and intoxicated, you know, like, and those are maybe some of the things that you can probably naturally do without anything, but at the same time, you know, you as a man, you need to learn to actually tame that part of you, that desire to like getting intoxicated, you know, get drunk, you know, and get you know, and yeah, literally tame it, you know, get drunk, get high on some drugs, you know, like whatever drugs you use, you know, you got a man and a woman, you know, this video can relate to anybody, you know, like just tame that part of yourself sometimes, you know. You don't need to be high 24/7, you don't need to be drunk 24/7, you don't need to be you know, geeked, as you guys call it, you know. So just tame that, man. And a lot of time people have been sold like fake drugs because they couldn't wait to buy real drugs, you know. They needed that time right there, you know. Impatience, you know, that ties in with this, you know. Impatience like a motherfucker, and they end up buying like fake drugs and end up dying, end up overdosing. You know how many superstars we done lost because of that. Juice WRLD is one of the examples. And I don't think he buy fake drugs. I think he just ended up just overdosing on the same drugs, because even if it's a real drug, if you overdo it, you will die. Yeah. So another thing is, and people get robbed for trying to buy drugs. People go and form friendship with people that they would never form friendship with. All that because they want to buy drugs, and they want to, be high, be drunk, whatever, And I feel like that as a man makes you, weak, man. It really does, And this video is all about what makes a man weak, but it can also relate to what makes a woman weak, because women don't need to be super weak too, because that doesn't really help them too, to be honest with you. If you really love your mothers and your sisters and your and your wives, then you don't need to make them weak for you to appear strong. No, that actually is not strength. So strength is also in numbers. So if you have one person that you don't take care of, then you have a weak link. So you have to make sure that all of you guys are taken care of. Yeah. So with that being said, man, I just want to talk about the drug. I already talked about the drugs, the sex. Talk about the power. Lust for money. That goes with the power, and all that, like being able to tame that part of you, man, makes you strong, man, as an individual. It makes you, way more than capable of ruling a nation, But if you don't do that, you will never be able to rule a nation, And I just gotta tell the young people, the people that's listening, man, that haven't been through the things that I haven't been through, to learn some shit from me, man, because I have been through shit like this, man, and I know when I let those things rule me, I am not as strong as I can be, to be honest with y'all, So another thing, man, that can really mess up a man and make a man weak, is emotions, I'm not saying don't have emotions, I'm not saying don't be, emotional, at all. I suggest that you be emotional. I suggest that you say what's hurting you. You tell somebody, and you say how you feel sometimes, but how you feel sometimes is not facts, and you have to, and it's very hard to get to the grips with that. It's very hard to get to understand that, to get that oh man, how I feel is not facts, because a lot of time we see a lot of people who show their emotions, they get a lot of praise in the society, and a lot of people feel like, man, this motherfucker don't hold back, man. This motherfucker just, does what he feels, and that's power and this and that, Nah, that's power in a certain extent, but that's not powerful, So let's say somebody walk up to you and calls you a bitch, and you feel like, man, you got a gun. Guess what? You finna shoot them and kill them right there on spot, And you feel like, man, this is what a man's supposed to do, And then guess what? After that, they come and they get your ass. You get locked up. You get put in jail, in prison for life. And now you done left people outside, that care about you. You done left your whole life out that you should have lived, because you wasn't able to contain yourself with a few moments of emotional outburst, and that is because our emotions, especially in this modern day where we have laws, we have police, we have, you know, communities, and we are civil. You know, our emotions cannot rule us to the extent where we throw our whole life away, man. You know, speaking to all men, all women, all children, you know, if you feeling sad, you feeling mad, somebody makes you feel bad, it's okay to confront them, you know, but it's never okay to kill somebody because they call you a bitch, you know, and just because somebody calls you a bitch doesn't mean that you was a bitch, you know. So, and if you feel like a bitch, then, you know, that's what you feel like, you know. But at the same time, you have to understand something. Don't let that shit rule you, man. A lot of people will get under your skin, you know, because they will ruff your feathers, you know. That's because that's just what life is, you know. Life itself will ruff your feathers, you know. You can't let, like, because life is roughing you up, you can't let that shit, you know, mess with you, you know. You can't, you know, to be honest with you, you know. So your emotions are something that make you strong, but can also make you really weak if you just let it like rule you all the time, you know. You know, and it can also deal with the first thing that I was talking about, your desires, you know, because sometimes your emotions can make you feel like you desire something so bad and you needed something so bad, but at the same time you probably don't even need it, you know. You can feel like, man, I need to get drunk, you know, but you probably don't even need to get drunk, you know. So don't let that shit control you, man, you know. Yeah, so another thing is about your emotions is like, people can make up things about you, you know. People can make up a million lies about you, you know. What can you do, you know? Are you gonna let those lies affect you, affect how you live your life? Are you gonna let those lies affect if you come outside or not? You know, are you gonna let those lies, you know, be the reason why, you know, people don't see you anymore, this and that, you know? So no, you gotta be stronger, man. You gotta be, man or woman, you gotta be stronger. You gotta, you know, fight harder, you know. And when I say fight harder, don't mean go to jail, no. You know, fight harder with life. You know, make sure you come up on top, man. Somehow you be successful, way more successful than the people that look down upon you and acted like you wasn't shit, you know, for real, you know. And it's okay for people to do that, you know, because everybody has an opinion, and